Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending Groupon's webinar today on key ingredients to successful food and drink marketing. And just before we kick off, I just want to go through a couple of quick housekeeping points. Just to let you all know, you are all currently on mute. So if any of you do try and speak, I won't be able to hear you. There is a questions tab on the webinar tool. If you'll see, you can click and open that. If you do want to ask any questions, just type away in there. But what we'll do is we'll wait until the end of the presentation and then we'll tackle any questions at that point. But feel free to use that whenever you need to. Also, to let you know that this is being recorded, and at the end we will send you a recording of it as well. So if you do miss anything that I say and you want to listen back, of course you'll have that there as well. And just one last point, you'll see in front of you right now, you've got the presentation, then you've got a webcam view. You can pull that bar up and down. So if you want to see more of the presentation and less of me, I won't be offended at all. So let's get started. So first of all, who am I? My name's Chris Teague. I'm a sales director here at Groupon. I've been here for 7 years, so almost the whole time that Groupon's been going in the UK. Me and my team specialise in onboarding new business to Groupon, so it's something I've done for a while, and especially in the restaurant industry as well. We spend a lot of time looking at trends and what's hot and what's not. So that's me. So what are we going to talk about today? Why are we here? So we're going to talk about, firstly, some insights in the food and drink industry. I think it's important to look at trends, buzzwords, and key searchable terms that's going on in the world right now. We've got a lot of data at Groupon. We're effectively a marketing company, but we've got millions of customers and thousands of merchants. So we have an awful lot of data. So I do want to share some of that with you guys as well. I want to look at how you can prepare better for 2018 for your restaurant or your establishment. I also want to look at some eating habits. What are the UK public doing right now? What are they eating and where are they eating? I also want to discuss the Taste of Groupon campaign, which we'll go into towards the end as well, which hopefully you guys can get involved in. And then a little bit about the future. And of course, at the end, we've got a little bit of time to go through any questions that anyone's got that they want to fire my way. So first of all, I just wanted to start with a fun fact. As British consumers, we spend more than £288,000 eating out of restaurants in our lifetime, which is a staggering amount of money. It actually equates to £44 per week, which is crazy. And as it says inside, because we're too lazy to cook, that's probably about right. So we know the industry is fantastic and it's booming. So I just wanted to go through to show you in detail kind of what that looks like and where we go forward from here. So this is some restaurant revenues and some food service revenues. And as you can see, as the graph moves up, it's a pretty obvious steady incline moving forward towards 2019. So we're still expecting the food industry to continue growing at a steady rate, which is fantastic news. Now, the UK has got 67.6 million consumers that spend £203 billion per year on the food industry. And you guys are all in it, so you know better than me how profitable it can be. So the market is huge, the pot is massive. Now, we also know that customers are extremely price sensitive and price savvy, but also the other fact that we know is people will spend more for a premium product, which is fantastic news. The other thing which is important to talk about as well is trends and the way the food industry is moving. I just picked one here, just the vegan market. That's increased 360% in the last 10 years. So it's absolutely huge the way that the market's moving. Now, we all know about healthy eating. Everyone talks about healthy eating. It's everywhere these days. 51% of UK consumers search for the word healthy when they're shopping. So over half the people that are looking for food right now are specifically looking for healthy food. So it's important that you guys know this, because what we want to try and help you with is, are you tailoring your menus? Are you tailoring your offering to what consumers are looking for? Because that really is the key point here. The other thing which is interesting is ethically sourced food is on the rise. Now, we know about a lot of these. One that's interesting is low carbon, seems to be on a huge increase at the moment as well. So we have the food industry as a whole, but also we have these sort of niche sections of food where people are becoming more and more active. So it's really important just for you guys to be aware of that. Now, this is a pretty obvious slide. Where do people eat? Now, most people eat in a restaurant. 2/3 of people in this survey have eaten in a restaurant in the last month. So there's no real surprise there. That's our #1 place to go. One that's really on the rise is pubs, bars or nightclubs. It's 38% of people have said that they eat in the last month. And that's one that has shot up the list. So it's interesting. I think a lot of it is gastropubs are very on trend, and people do love to eat, as we already know. So frequency, how often do people eat out? Now, the good news is they eat out a lot. We love to eat. Over a third of ate out once or twice in a week in the last month. So we know people love to go out and eat a lot. They love to go out to restaurants. This is all good news for us. This is the industry you're in. So I want to look at how does that compare to Groupon consumers. Now, we've actually commissioned a survey which was done by Populous Data Solutions, which is a market research agency. What they've helped us do is bucket consumers so that we can see trends and habits. So this has got a lot of information on this slide, but I'll walk you through it. So the one that's highlighted is the Groupon buyer. You've got not a Groupon buyer. You've got interactive with Groupon but haven't purchased, and aware of Groupon but no interaction. So we've split them down 4 ways. Now, the good news for me, especially working at Groupon, is the average visits, as you can see towards the bottom, is 2.4 for a Groupon buyer in a month. So they eat out more often than an average consumer. The even better news is the average spend is the highest of the bunch at £29.56. And the reason I think this is important to tell you guys is I know Groupon has a stigma attached to it because we're a discount website. That doesn't necessarily mean we have discount customers. And this slide, thankfully, backs me up and says that Groupon buyers will go out more often and they will spend more money. So that's fantastic. The other thing about Groupon buyers as well is they are adventurous. They want to try new places to eat. They're not afraid to try something new. So the same process here, split into the 4. As you can see, the green bar is someone saying that they often eat at a new place and try new things. And the Groupon buyer is higher again. The interesting point is in the Groupon buyer section, no one said never. So everyone at some point is interested in trying something new to a degree. So it gives us in the marketplace a very strong position that we know we've got people that will eat out more regularly, will try new things, and will spend a bit more money. So all good news so far. Now, this slide is talking about resources, and I wanted to bring it up because we're split into 3 here. So on the left-hand side, we've got online resources like websites, apps, social media. In the middle, we've got offline resources like magazines, newspapers, leaflets, that kind of thing. And on the right is word of mouth. Now, again, there's absolutely no surprise that word of mouth is hugely influential. It has been since the dawn of time, and it's not going to change. So you guys already know that, and that's obviously something you're focused on. The thing that's on the rise, as again, we all probably know, is the online resources. So 40% of people, some of the time, are checking online resources before deciding where to eat. So that's social media is the big one right now. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's what a lot of people are using. And I think that's moved away. Review sites were very popular and still indeed are, but people are using apps now because they're on the go. So again, I just wanted to highlight that point that it's so important, the use of social media. If you guys don't have a Facebook page, a Twitter, an Instagram, now really is the time to make sure that you've got one. And if you have, it's making sure that the content is relevant and is constantly updated, because that's how you're engaging new customers to come to your restaurants. This slide's about technology, and the point here, which I think looking at a lot, I look at a lot of restaurant menus on a daily basis and a lot of restaurant websites, and the thing that I'm starting to see slightly more and more is consumers spending on an app. Now you can see on the slide here, 46% of consumers would use a restaurant's smartphone app if available. What I don't see a huge amount of is restaurants having a smartphone app. So if you don't have a smartphone app, and it's something that you've been considering, almost half of your audience are saying that potentially they would use it. So it's a really good time to think about investing in mobile and smartphones. Now, the other thing on this slide, which I really wanted to touch on, which again kind of goes back to the healthy eating habits of people, is 36% of consumers looked up nutrition information. So when people are looking where and what to eat, they also want to know calorie content, fat content. They're interested in this information. So again, on your menus, do you have calorie content? Do you have that information readily available? If you've got healthy eating options, which I'm sure most of you do, are you portraying that to the public properly? Because I've gone to a lot of restaurants myself, and we work with a lot of restaurants here at Groupon that have a lot of healthy eating options, but they don't tell the consumer that they're healthy eating options. And that's a really important thing here, is making sure that the message is clear and people are aware that that's something that you actually offer. Moving on with healthier eating again, this is showing how healthy what people want to be in the future, and it's bucketed by age. Again, I don't think there's any huge surprises on here. 18 to 34 age group want to be more healthier in the next 12 months. 35 to 54 still want to be healthier, but only a slight amount. And then the 55 plus, not so worried about health, more about have a good time, enjoy their food. But interesting to see that as the age ranges go up, it decreases. And most people still want to eat healthier in the next 12 months. So it's an active thought in most people's mind. This next slide is about free from foods. Now, I know myself, if you walk through a supermarket these days, there's often a free from aisle. If you go back 10, 15 years, you didn't really see that. There might be one small section in the supermarket, but this section of the market has exploded in recent times. It's become huge. It's so important to the industry now to have dairy-free and gluten-free options. It's worth, in 2016, £520 million, just this gluten-free and dairy-free market. So that's a huge amount. And if people have an allergy, and it's estimated as much as 45% of the UK population have a food allergy, sometimes it's not that they want dairy-free or that they want gluten-free, but it's that they need these things. So again, talking about your menus, talking about nutritional information, it's so key in today's marketplace that you've got gluten-free options, you've got dairy-free options, vegan, vegetarian. Have you got those on your menu? And if you have, please, please, please make sure that people know it. Because I've been to so many restaurants, especially with vegetarian and vegan, where there's actually a huge range of those particular dishes on offer, but the menu doesn't state it. So you have to really delve in and look for it. Whereas these people, they're going to make a choice on where they eat based on this information. So vitally important right now. So what about drinks? I think a lot of the time we focus on food, but actually drinks are pretty important. And you can see from this slide, 21% of consumers say beverage play an important part in picking a restaurant to eat at, which is actually a huge amount of people. There's no real surprises on the types of drink that they're after. 76% say beer. Cocktails is quite high at 73%. So if cocktails is not something that you currently do, I would strongly recommend looking at cocktails. The markup on them is huge. So in terms of profit, they're fantastic, but also they add a touch of class as well. And if you're looking for an experience on a night out, people tend to go with cocktails as well. So that's fantastic. The bottom four, I just want to touch on two of them. 44% want healthier beverages at restaurants. Again, ties into the clean eating. And the bottom one's really interesting. 53% of families with children want more kids drink options. Now, again, you'll all know the family market is a huge market. And most restaurants have an orange juice, have a lemonade, and maybe a fruit shoot. But it's really worth having a look and seeing what other options are out there. Back to the alcohol. Probably the most important thing on this slide is the craft beer. 56% believe it's important for a restaurant or bar to offer a selection of craft beers. That's another part of the market which we've really seen explode, especially at Groupon. We're having a lot of craft beer brewery tours. A lot of our deals where we might do a burger and a beer, they often offer now craft beers. And we've seen sales really increase because of a craft beer being used rather than just a standard pint of lager. So if you don't have a selection of craft beers, it's really worth especially shopping local to see local breweries. You don't have to get them from a supermarket or a cash and carry or anything like that. You can go direct to these breweries and try and get a local one stocked. It really does make a difference. So the next slide is about mobile. And for Groupon, obviously, we're pretty well placed to talk about mobile. We have 157 million people have downloaded our app. What this slide shows is food and drink deals based on purchases, whether they're mobile or desktop. So you can see from the slide, the green section at the bottom is people that have purchased a deal on our mobile app. The next section up, the light grey, is someone that's used our mobile website. And the top section is anyone that's used a browser or web from a desktop or PC. You can see the steady increase, and mobile now almost accounts for just under 2/3 of our purchases. Because people are so busy, everyone's on the go, mobile is the way forward. So this is a really important message to give you guys is, do you have a mobile version of your website? Most of you will have websites and pretty good quality from what I've seen looking around, but have you got a mobile friendly version? If someone's on the train, if someone's on the way home from work, can they easily access and view your menu? If it's difficult or it's clunky, again, now's the time to just maybe look at investing in that section, because it's so key for the marketplace. The other thing that's very important, and especially with Groupon, we're seeing a lot, is gifting. How giftable is your restaurant, and how can you make it giftable? It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but there are ways that you can certainly make it a little bit easier. So for us, food and drink is our second most giftable category at Groupon. It's a huge part of what we do, and we can track when people are purchasing these as gifts as well, which is really ideal. So how do you make your restaurant more giftable? A lot of merchants that I speak to, the best way to do it is through seasonal menus, Valentine's menus, Mother's Day menus, summer menus, winter menus, all these kind of things. It's much easier because people can view it as an item rather than just all these different options. So if you wanted to buy something for Mother's Day and there's a Mother's Day menu, you're pulling people in the right direction. You're getting Mother's Day in their mind, and it makes it become more giftable, because it is an absolutely huge market. And traditionally, buying a restaurant voucher or buying a restaurant experience as a gift, normally it's only been exposure in the high-end market, whereas we're seeing actually a lot of the people that are purchasing through us on a gift are buying mid to low-end market on restaurants. They don't need to buy a high-end quality restaurant. They can buy any type of restaurant. So the key message here is make sure that you've got specialized menus or seasonal menus that are available at the right times of the year. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about tips to retain customers, and these tips have just come from my experience of talking to many merchants, loads of different things really as how we can retain more customers. Now, my job here at Groupon is to specialize in introducing new business into the industry. But when you get that new business, you guys will know this better than me, it's so important to retain it. So I just wanted to talk through a few reasons why. So again, why are returning customers so valuable? It costs 7 times more to acquire a new customer than to retain an existing one. So if you think about marketing spend, yes, you do need to bring new people in the door, but if you drop the retention of those other customers, it's inefficient. It doesn't make sense financially. So it's super important. The other thing we know about returning customers as well is they're often quite loyal. They'll spend more money, and they're very vocal about loving a restaurant. If you talk to most of your friends and family and you ask them where their favorite restaurant is, they'll be able to give you an answer pretty quickly. And that's what we need you guys to be looking at as well, is how can you become that person's go-to restaurant? Because if we're talking about trying new seasonal menus and just different things on the menu that you might want to try, it's much easier to pass these on to a repeat customer than it is a new customer. They'll be a little bit more adventurous in what they try, and they'll often give you very honest feedback for it as well. So keeping hold of those customers is extremely valuable. This slide's about every guest is your VIP, especially with Groupon. How do you make the most of a Groupon feature? So there's a few tips that we've picked up on here. Extending opening hours, but that's not always easy as a restaurant to do. I know you guys work. So I'm not asking you to increase any hours, but looking at seating is important. How can you efficiently serve customers? Can you offer different times of seating to get more people through the door and ultimately make more money? The other thing is social media forums like TripAdvisor, but also Groupon. We have a rating system that comes up on Google. Most people, when they're looking for where to eat, will check a rating website and will check for star ratings to choose where they eat out. So it's very important. If you've got any awards, make sure they're up and they're proud, because you should be proud of them if you've got them. Word of mouth we've discussed already, it's hugely important, and just treating people like that VIP is going to make other people, it's going to give the wow factor. Offer a discount for purchase through your mobile app. We talked about mobile apps a little bit already. If you are using one or you're planning to use one, you need to find a way to shift your custom towards it very quick, and offering a discount for a use of it is a really good way to do it. Again, special menus for special occasions we've discussed, and test vegetarian and vegan options out to these guys that already know you, because they're much more likely to purchase them and they're much more likely to spend more money at the same time. So it's a win-win. Social media, again, we've discussed this a lot, but just to make the point and hammer it home, people are using social media more and more to actually decide where to eat. 3 in 10 diners are using Facebook and Twitter to decide where to eat. So having a Facebook is one thing, but having fantastically clear images, having the right kind of tone in what you're talking about, and just making sure that you're regularly updating the pages as well. Again, I see a lot of Facebook pages for restaurants that actually are beautiful and they look great, but they haven't been updated for 6 months. So you're not going to be able to engage a consumer by not updating that page. 4 in 10 people use group buying sites like Groupon to decide where to eat and to go and eat out. So again, it's a hugely influential way to get people in the door. And again, reviews we've touched on. People do like to use a review site to see where to go. So all of these things tie in together to make social media one of the most powerful tools in the marketplace right now. This is a very wordy slide. I'm not going to read every single word out on this one. But being active on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram is very easy to say, but it's not always the easiest to do. So a few sort of key points and tips and tricks here. So social listening is listening to what your customer wants and understanding what they need so that you can provide the right service to them and boost satisfaction levels. Rewarding people that are a brand ambassador is a huge one. If people are out there promoting your restaurant, make sure you reward them. It's only a good thing. Focus on personalization. If you can personalize your content, people are much more likely to engage with it, which is key. Sharing posts at the right time. This one is one of the most important ones for me. If you're getting home late, and I know all of you do, and you're posting something on your Facebook at 1 AM, are people going to see it? Probably not. So when to post is almost as important as what you're posting. Irresistible offers. Of course, Groupon, that's what we do. The point of Groupon is we want to get people to you, and then once you've got them, it's to you to keep hold of them. So again, using your social media to do that through other offers is great. If any of you know any social influencers or are aware of social influencers in your market that you can partner with to promote your restaurant, again, fantastic way of doing it. And the last point is speak the language of your customer, making sure that your tone and the types of things you're saying is going to fit with your customer demographic. These are all vitally important things. So just to recap, a couple of key takeaways, what we talked about. So we know more and more people eat out, but they're also extremely health conscious. So it's really important to test introducing a healthy option in your menu. And don't forget, gluten-free, dairy-free are key, as well as vegan and vegetarian. Consumers are extremely tech savvy, so again, online presence is essential, and please consider investing in a mobile app if you haven't already. Food and drink is the second most giftable category on Groupon. Focus on returning customers because they will spend more money. Invest in social media presence, partner with an influencer if you can do, and improve your search rating with stars and rating websites because it does boost you up those rankings as well. So I just want to spend just 1 minute just telling you as well a little bit about our Taste of Groupon campaign. For anyone that's had any dealings with us in the past or is aware of us may have seen our Taste of Groupon campaign. We've run this for the last few years and it's become more and more successful over time. Basically what we do is between the 23rd of April and the 6th of May, we theme everything around food. We're all about trying to get new people to try new food. So it's a great time if you guys are interested to look at partnering with Groupon. So we do it by having an online shop. So when you go onto the site, there's a specific food tab, which you can go through only the food deals in your local area to see what's available. We also use themed newsletters. So if anyone gets those emails in the morning, we do specific food themed ones to try and target the right type of people. We use our app notifications. So if you're walking out and about around town and there's a restaurant near you that does offer a Groupon, we can tailor app notifications to ping as you get close by. And then we've got all the traditional marketing forms like SEO, display, affiliate marketing, SEM that we of course do. And we've mentioned a lot about social media. So of course we use social media also to try and generate a buzz. And a lot of PR, we use a lot of local press and national press to try and really push attention onto it. So again, if it's something you're considering, now is a really good time to think about it. And this is who we're targeting during the campaign. So the campaign traditionally is around 39% of people are 25 to 54 and 74% are women. That's really important because these women are the people that make the decisions. These are people that are saying yes and no. So it's a real key part of the market to tackle. These type of people often give very positive feedback. From all the campaigns we've done in the past, the feedback has been fantastic. They're also discoverers. They like to try new things. And the most important thing is they will spend money. They're not afraid to spend money. And if you think about it, if you buy a voucher, maybe you might use it a month after you've bought it. When you get to that restaurant, the money's left your account, the money's gone. So when you're there, it feels free. So you tend to spend more money, you spend more on drinks, you spend more on a dessert, and you have a good time. So we're trying to target the right people for you guys that are going to make you money in the long run. That's the aim here. I've just got one slide to talk about, hear it from our partners. This one is better for you to sort of digest in your own time after we've sent the presentation at the end. There's a link at the bottom there to our case study page. Now, that's got a lot of case studies of people that have worked with us. And the reason it's so interesting is because people work with Groupon for various different reasons, with various different results. It's not just, I need more customers. That's not what necessarily why people are doing a Groupon. There are a whole range of reasons why people do it, and it's a really good read to have a look through and see what results people have got. And sometimes it's quite unexpected, so I'd encourage everybody just to have 5 minutes and just have a browse at that, because it's pretty interesting. If you run a Groupon campaign, there are a couple of free tools that we do give you as part of the package. There's no charge for these. The first one is the Merchant Center app, which is my personal favorite. It does the obvious things like tracking how many sales you have. It tracks how much money is going into your account so that you understand you're redeeming the vouchers and you're getting paid. The things that are really important here is it really gives you a handle on customer demographics. It shows you where a person lives when they purchase. So it zeroes down onto their postcode. So what you get is you get a map and you can see where your customer base is coming from. And a lot of merchants have told me in the past, this has really helped them to target their future marketing. People are purchasing from an area which maybe they don't target. So now they've changed and they've targeted different areas. So it's a really good way of being able to track that. The other thing that's pretty good about this is once someone's used the voucher, we send them a survey to ask them how they got on. So you get real-time, honest feedback on what the person's experience has been, and it goes straight into the app. So you can see it straight away, positive and negative, because both are just as important. If someone's got something that they weren't too happy with, it's a really nice forum to discuss it with you and you to be able to see it. And if you do need to make any changes, obviously it gives you the chance to do that. So that's a really good app that we offer for free. The other thing that we offer is a booking tool. Again, traditionally in the market, most restaurants have a booking tool of some form, but we offer one as part of the service for completely free. I just want to spend 2 minutes just playing you a video just so that you can see what our booking tool does. So I'm just going to play that for you now.
Welcome to our video presentation of the booking tool. An email has been sent to you which includes your credentials for the online booking tool. Click on the link, then log in with your Merchant Center account details. Don't forget to check the box, I have read and accepted the conditions of use, then confirm. Here's your interface where you can handle both your availability and reservation slots. Each meal includes a maximum number of places as well as slots reserved for Groupon customers. When you no longer have Groupon slots available but can welcome other customers, the bar turns into orange. If you hover over the capacity reserved for Groupon customers, you can either increase or decrease it by using the plus or minus buttons. To display all customer reservations, hover over the grey bar and click on the booking image. All customers attending the session will be displayed, whether they are Groupon or non-Groupon customers. You can export your bookings from your past and future reservations under Excel formatting, a simple way to keep an eye on your customers' reservations. In order to get paid for your bookings, click on the Get Paid button. You'll be able to redeem vouchers either individually or all at once. Please be aware that you will only be able to redeem vouchers for completed bookings. They will be paid within 14 working days. The Book for a Client button allows you to make a reservation for a non-Groupon customer. Just choose the number of customers, Other, if it's not related to a current Groupon deal, the date and length of the service. Then fill in the customer's email and phone number before confirming. During the booking process, customers can leave a message that will be visible when you hover over the reservation slot or directly into your inbox. This is the place where you can communicate with them. Write an answer to the customer and confirm. If the customer answers, you'll see his or her answer displayed just below. Groupon customers can also ask you to book for themselves. Select Groupon, fill in the security code and voucher code. Fill all fields one by one, including date and hours, as well as customer email and phone number.
Okay, so that's the booking tool. As you can see, there's a couple of really good features in there. The customer messaging service is pretty good. Enables you to have a nice free-flowing conversation with a customer if you need it, and you can use it for non-Groupon customers, as it says there as well. So it's not something that you would need to specifically use just for Groupon. It's something that you can take and keep for as long as you need it to. So that's fantastic as well, and again, completely free. So that pretty much brings me to the end of the presentation. So first, I just want to thank you all for listening. And there's a bit of contact information on the screen if anybody is interested in having a conversation, any questions, anything you aren't too sure about. There's telephone numbers depending on where you're based, and also email address as well. It's probably best to email any questions if you've got them on there as well. It's easier for us to come back to you on. So that's that. So I'm going to open the floor if anyone wants to ask any questions. So again, just to remind you, there's a questions bar which you can type any questions in that you want to ask me. I've got a couple already there. So I'll kick off in just in case anyone else wants to type while I'm talking as well. So the one that I've got here is, how can I promote my business so customers come in over lunch as well? Which is a good question. Now, the more expansive the offer you do, the more uptake you'll get, which obviously is something interesting and probably pretty obvious. But if you genuinely cannot do any evenings, or that's not going to work for you and you only want to do lunch, we can do a specific deal for lunch. We've done breakfast, we've done brunch, we've done lunch, dinner. There's plenty of things that we can do. So it's definitely something that works for us. It's about really understanding your business and kind of what needs you've got before we can make that work. And the other great thing is, if the booking tool was in use, it does make it a lot easier to control lunchtime bookings as well, because the customers can just come on, they can hit check availability, they can see when you're available, and they just book into an open slot. And they're only going to have options for lunch, right? Because this is all this is going to be. So it does make it a lot simpler. So hopefully that answers your question for that one. Another one I've got here is, how do I become a merchant? Again, this is a nice easy one for me. Whichever area you're from here, if you're UK, Ireland or UAE, just contact us on the telephone number or on the email. It's as simple as that. Now, what we do when we do a Groupon, I've got another question asking, like, how does it work? So we tailor each offer specifically to your business. We don't just have an offer that we say, right, okay, this is what we're going to do. So what we're interested in is finding out when you're busy, when you're quiet, what are your popular dishes on the menu, which ones cost you more, and maybe a seasonal, like for example, seafood's an interesting one. The price varies quite often, so it can be quite difficult to make that one work, but there are ways around it. So what we want to try and do is really find out about what works for you and what's important for you. So we have a consultant here that would have a conversation with you on the phone. We'll try and work out what's best, and then we would go through the deal process. It's quite simple. It's a matter of, we agree the structure, we send you an agreement through over email, so there's no pen and paper, it's all done via email. Once we've got that, what we do is we send it over to our editorial and design team, and then what they do is they'll write the feature up. So the feature is written, and then the feature is sent to you to check. Once it's checked and you give us the go ahead, the feature goes live. So it's a simple process to try and make things work. I've got another question here. What is the best way to let people know you're a restaurant when you've just opened? And that's actually a good question. Now, we work with a lot of newly open restaurants, and it's quite a challenge, I think. Now, the obvious ways are, in your local area, people are going to see it first and foremost. So you've got offline options where you can use leaflets, you can use a board out the front, that kind of thing. But the best and fastest way to share things is to try and get online. The online market, as I say, is the way forward. It's trying to get a buzz around Facebook. So rather than maybe just giving out leaflets or discussing leaflets, it's trying to push people onto the Facebook page, push people onto Twitter, get them onto Instagram. The obvious one I'm going to say, of course, is work with Groupon. This is the thing that Groupon's got that not a lot of other mediums can do, is we can give you a huge amount of volume in a very short space of time, if that's what you want. If you don't want a huge amount of volume, we can stagger it across months. And that's normally what works best, is we want to try and give you a steady flow of custom rather than overload you immediately. But it's about trying to get that buzz. It's about people talking about your restaurant. And realistically, the only way that is going to happen is if you have people in the door. So Groupon is a fantastic way to do that. Once you've got people in, then it's about, as we talked about, using the review sites. Encourage them to use a review site. Encourage them to leave you a Facebook review. Or if you've got a review section on your website, you can do that via a discount. So I've seen a lot of restaurants that what they've done is once you leave them a review, they'll give you a 10% off next time you visit. That's a double positive. One, you get a really good review. And secondly, you're almost guaranteeing they're going to come back. So you're going to get extra spend. So there are a lot of different things that you can do when you just open. It is going to take time. It doesn't immediately turn into no one coming in to being completely full. But if you do want to encourage an acceleration in that process, then please drop me an email on the webinars at groupon.co.uk email address, and we can discuss it in more detail and see how it can work for you. Okay, I think that's about that in regards to time. So if anybody else wants to ask a question, please feel free still to type one in. What we'll do is if you ask a question, we will come back to you directly on email. So we will return an answer to you. But anything else, please just come back to us on the telephone numbers or again on the email address. And we will send you a short survey after the webinar is finished as well, just to kind of get your opinion and feedback. So anything that you can give us to help us out moving forward would be fantastic. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy days to listen to me talk about food. Thank you very much.